It is a warm summer morning. With a ball tucked under his arm, Timmy is on his way to the playground. He wants to play football with his best friends, but what he doesn't know yet, this day will be one of the happiest of his entire life. Meanwhile, Timmy is a sales representative in a large industrial corporation. The printer room is the only place where he can take a break from the stress of the office. At home, he still has to pack boxes, because he's currently in the middle of moving into his first apartment. As he clears his old books from the shelf, one catches his eye. His very first photo album. He flips through the pages and asks himself one question. Why can't things go back to the way they used to be? Timmy is a fictional character that helps illustrate the scientific concepts in this video. All content and studies have been thoroughly researched and are linked in the video caption down below. Timmy grew up in a single family home in a small suburb. When he wasn't outside, he spent most of his time playing with his Lego sets. Of course, he loved playing with his Lego Star Wars figures. He spent hours reenacting the epic battles from the movies. And of course, he also had a legendary street carpet. There were no worries. In the evenings, when mom or dad read him a bedtime story, he listened to how his heroes from faraway worlds had exciting adventures. He often imagined becoming a superhero himself. The longer Timmy looks at the picture, the more convinced he is that everything was better in the past. And he's not alone in this. 60% of Germans rate their childhood as the happiest time of their lives. Looking at the pictures, Timmy also remembers even more and more beautiful moments from the past. For example, the first time he rode a bike. His dad had removed the training wheels and he was determined to ride a little bit on his own. At first it was quite difficult, which is why he fell twice. But eventually he managed it. He was still quite unsure on the bike, but over time he got more and more used to it. What was once so exciting and memorable is now nothing more than a routine task. And yet Timmy still enjoys riding his bike. The first experiences we usually have as children are crucial to how we remember things from the past. But how do memories even work? We have approximately 86 billion nerve cells in our brain, which can establish and break down connections between each other. This creates a variety of connection patterns. When nerve signals then flow through the connected nerve cells, it creates the impression of a memory. For example, the experience of starting school, which Timmy will remember forever. Never in his life has he been as excited as he was that day. With his brand new school backpack, which was bigger than he was, he met his new classmates for the first time. He would have never thought that he would still be friends with many of them today and that they would often rave about the school days together. Timmy also remembers exactly how much he enjoyed learning in elementary school, because that was exactly what his brain was good at. Between the ages of 3 and 10, children have twice as many synapses as adults. This enables children to transfer stimuli in the brain more quickly. To do this, neurons transmit stimuli and signals via so-called axons to other neurons, where they are received by dendrites. Connections form that are the basis of learning and memory formation. The increased neuroplasticity not only leads to rapid learning, but also to more intense sensory impressions. Even though it was years ago, Timmy can still remember his favorite childhood smell when he sees the picture, because our sense of smell is incredibly strong. A study by the Weizmann Institute of Science was able to prove that subjects associate a picture with a smell. For this purpose, subjects were shown a picture of an object like a chair, and simultaneously a lemon scent was released into the air. A little later, the subjects were shown the same picture again, but this time with a different scent like fish. The interesting thing, a week later, the participants in the experiments were shown the same picture again, and it turned out that they could remember the lemon smell first and almost exclusively. The image of the chair was associated with the lemon scent, and this connection can last forever. So whenever Timmy sees the picture from the past, He can even smell the food and imagine himself back in that situation. Grandma standing in the kitchen cooking. Music playing from the old radio. The set table and Timmy who could hardly wait for it all to finally begin. Never again has he eaten such a delicious tomato soup. The taste was simply unbeatable. And it's no coincidence that he still remembers this so clearly today. Scientists call this the Madeleine effect, named after this French pastry. In addition to the smell, Timmy subconsciously associated the taste with his grandparents. The intense sensory impressions have remained anchored in his brain to this day, keeping the memory alive. And the fact that grandma's food is the best in the world can also be decisive and scientifically proven, because children prefer food with intense flavor. A study by the University of Illinois showed that children and teenagers, for example, need 40% more sugar than adults to make something taste sweet to them. At the same time, grandmas are better at cooking than everybody else. The combination of fresh ingredients, years of experience, and the intense flavor make for an unforgettable experience. So grandma's food basically works like a time machine. Just like Timmy's first mobile phone, with which he took as many photos as possible to remember the moments later on. He was unbelievably proud when he was able to buy his first smartphone with the money he earned himself. He could now take photos, make phone calls, and chat with his friends. He didn't need anything more back then. Today, he has the latest iPhone, equipped with every technological innovation on the market. Timmy spends hours every day scrolling through social media, and just like 83% of Germans, he now can't imagine a life without a smartphone. The average teenager unlocks their phone 90 times a day, every 16 minutes. The total usage time is about 2 hours and 30 minutes. The huge problem with this trend is obvious. Those who spend more time online have less time for real experiences and memories.
But today, the average 18-year-old in the United States is on pace to spend 93% of their remaining free time looking at a screen.
And it's the same for Timmy, because no matter where he goes, his phone is always with him, and no matter what he does, it has to be as Instagram-worthy as possible. The consequences are dramatic. Free time in particular is increasingly seen as a project that must be managed as efficiently as possible. There is a simple reason for this trend, namely what psychologists call upward social comparison. It is human nature to compare ourselves with others, because it shows us who we are and where we stand. That now becomes problematic when we no longer compare ourselves with our immediate environment. Social media offers us a world in which with every scroll, swipe and click we are confronted with the highlights of someone else's life. And this is often assumed to be the standard for a good life, which leads to great dissatisfaction. Timmy wasn't exposed to this constant pressure to perform as a child. Of course, he also compared himself to others, but not to such an extreme. Back then the coolest one was who had the most Pokemon cards, was allowed to stay up late, or could run the fastest. And that's why he was happier. However, what Timmy doesn't know, his memories are false.
So in fact, memory is actually this process where we try to create what we think happened and hopefully get it right.
So most of the time, they look at least slightly different from the actual experience we had back then. This phenomenon even has a name, the rosy retrospection bias. Looking through rose-colored glasses presents everything in a more positive light than it actually was. Timmy doesn't remember the emotions he felt in those moments at all, so his brain tries to recreate them and does so in a much more positive way than in reality. Researchers at the University of Washington also discovered this in 1997. 38 students participated in a 3-week bicycle tour through California. They were accompanied by Terence Mitchell, one of the researchers, who measured the participants' experiences at 12 different points in time. 2 times before the trip, 8 times during the trip, and 2 times after the trip. The students had to rate their experiences at each measurement point and had also to complete a comprehensive questionnaire at 6 measurement points to determine their general satisfaction. The result, 61% stated that their expectations were disappointed. In the subsequent journey, however, 53% of participants deviated from their opinion and stated that their assessment of certain aspects of the trip had changed, almost exclusively in a positive direction. Does this mean that everything he sees in front of him is a lie? No. Childhood often seems like the best time of life, but this isn't due to the past itself, but rather to how the brain stores memories. Seeing the world like a child again is impossible. Our neuroplasticity and experiences prevent this. We no longer have as many neurons and synapses as a child, our senses no longer perceive as intensely as they used to do, and our environment has shaped us too much. Nonetheless, there are approaches that can help you make your everyday life more positive again. More specifically, 2 things will ensure that you can enjoy your life more again. Start by using your phone less. The more time you spend on social media, the less time you have to make memories and live. You don't have to try to take the perfect Instagram picture at every opportunity just to impress people you don't even know. You only have one life, so start living it consciously and ensure that you have as many first experiences as possible, because they make your life longer. At least that's what Mark Wittmann, a scientist at the Institute of Frontier Areas of Psychology and Mental Health in Freiburg, claims. If you experience little that's new and exciting, fewer memories remain, and in retrospect, the time spent seems shorter. To truly understand this, imagine your last vacation. At first, you explore the new surroundings, discover unfamiliar scents, dishes and landscapes. The days seem to last forever, but just after a short time, the newness becomes a habit. You always look at the same cows in front of the mountain backdrop when you get up, eat lunch at the same restaurant every day, and go for a swim in the lake in the evening. And suddenly, the vacation is over far too soon. But if you experience something new every day becomes memorable. And just like a child, this only works if you're open to being excited about new things again. Timmy closes the photo album and looks out of the window. The sun, which is slowly setting, shines in his face. He realizes that he is never going to get his childhood back, but that was never the goal. The point is to live the time ahead of him in such a way that it's worth remembering. He reaches next to him and turns off his phone. Timmy resolves to become more aware of things and marvel at them from today onward, just like a child.